Greeting, brothers and sisters. This is a very exciting and a blessed time in my life as I'm starting this brand new YouTube channel, and we are starting this brand new biblical series on the life of the great prophet Elijah. Now, who is this prophet Elijah? He is a strange prophet. He is a different prophet. He is a mysterious person. He's a mysterious prophet, and his mystery stems from we not knowing who he really is. No introduction about him is given, who he is, where he comes from, what his lineage is, who his parents are, how he became a prophet. He just pops up in the middle of an action scene like in a movie scene, and he's fighting right in front of the king Ahab, and he proclaims a drought. We find the story in the book of 1 Kings chapter 17 verse 1, where it simply says, and Elijah the Tishbite of the inhabitants of Gilead said to Ahab, as the Lord God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall be no dew nor rain these years except at my word. My goodness, such a daring, such a bold thing to say to a king, such a courageous thing to say to a king. And then the mystery continues. He after that disappears, and the army of Ahab is looking for him, and they can't find him for 3.5 years. And then a series of miracles after this start in his life. He's fed by the ravens, and he goes to the widow after that. Supply of the flour and the oil does not run out. He is the first person, he's the first prophet in the Bible to raise someone from the dead, and he calls down fire from heaven on Mount Carmel, and after that he calls the fire down again once more. So twice he calls down fire from heaven. And not only is his life so mysterious, his death is also so mysterious. What do I mean by his death? There is no death. So he is taken up in a chariot of fire, and he does not see death. So the only two people in the Bible to have done so Enoch and Elijah are the only two people in the Bible who have not seen physical death. After the ascension of Elijah in heaven, we see that there is no more mention of Elijah in the Bible right until the last book of the Old Testament, the book of Malachi, which is written 400 years after Elijah, as Elijah lived in the 9th century, 800 years before Christ, and this book is written 400 years after Elijah, and it is written 400 years before the New Testament is written. And we see in the last chapter 4, we see that the destruction of the earth is mentioned, the end days is mentioned, and it says in the last two verses of the chapter 4, so Malachi chapter 4 verse 5 and 6, it says, behold, I send you Elijah the prophet before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he will turn the hearts of the father to the children and hearts of the children to the father, lest I come and curse the earth. So you see, Elijah's mission has not yet finished. Elijah's purpose has not yet finished, and God is saying, before the end of this world, I'm going to send him again. In fact, his name is not only connected to the end days, but also is mentioned so many times in the New Testament. He is the one prophet whose name is mentioned the most from the Old Testament. In the New Testament, his name is mentioned 27 times. And when the New Testament starts and John the Baptist appears on the scene, people think that it is Elijah who has come back in the form of John the Baptist. In fact, Jesus himself says in Matthew chapter 11 verse 14 that if you can accept him, he is Elijah. And in another place in Matthew chapter 16 verse 13, Jesus is asking about himself. He says, who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And the prophet and the disciples, when they reply, one of the reply is that people think that you are Elijah. So this mysterious man, this strange man, when the great prophet John the Baptist arrives, and Jesus says he's the greatest prophet who is born of a woman, people think he's Elijah. When Jesus appears on the scene, people think he is Elijah. And in fact, not only is he mentioned in the New Testament, Orthodox Jews still today are expecting Elijah to come back and commence the arrival of the Messiah. And when they are celebrating Passover, they keep a cup for Elijah called the cup of Elijah, and they keep a chair empty and the door open, symbolizing the arrival of Elijah. So he is very much alive in the hearts of the Orthodox Jews as well. So we see that this mysterious prophet, this prophet who has done so many miracles, he has achieved so much greatness, we are not only going to learn from what he did and all the great miracles that he did and he achieved, we are also going to learn from his failures. After one of the greatest victories of Elijah on Mount Carmel, where he called down fire from heaven and executed 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Asherah, he was afraid of the woman Jezebel, and he went and hid himself in a cave, and he was lonely there, he was fearful there, and he went through many negative emotions, including being depressed and having suicidal thoughts. And in fact, the book of James chapter 5 verse 17 mentions, he says that Elijah was a man with the natures like ours. So he went through similar emotions and negativity that we go through, yet with the help of God, he was able to overcome them, and he was able to continue his journey of greatness. And this is what we are going to learn from Elijah. But we are really simply going to start by just his name. His name is a two-part name. First part is El and second part is Jah or Yah, which means the second part means Jehovah and the first part El means God. So he is proclaiming in a time of idolatry that his name is Jehovah is my God. He was not only very clear with the name that God had given him, he was very clear with the purpose, that his purpose is to proclaim that Jehovah is God, and he did it courageously, he did it boldly. And this is what God is calling you and me to do as well, is to find our passion, to find our purpose, and to live out that passion, to live out that purpose with great boldness and with great courage. And I know that sometimes it's so hard for us to find what really our purpose is, and the scope of this video is too short to find or to answer that question. But in my previous two videos, I have mentioned about this slightly in one of them, where I talk about Jesus walking with the two disciples on the road to Emmaus, and in the second video where I talk about Moses on the burning bush. So you see, in this video or in this video series, I am not only going to teach you about finding your passion, teach you about finding your purpose. I'm going to show you an example through my life, as I'm a chef restaurateur, but God is taking me into new direction after the COVID time and inflation and the energy prices rising and the restaurant business suffering. But God is saying, I'm going to, as something is dying down, or it's not really dying down, but it's we are going through some difficulties, not that it's not from God, but God is saying, I have something more exciting, something different for you, something where it fulfills my purpose, it gives me, it ignites a passion in me, it gives me joy to make videos. And not only I'm going to make a video or video series on the life of Prophet Elijah, I'm also going to write a book, my first ever book. So I'm going to upload the first chapter in the description of this video, and as we go along and as we progress in this video series, I am going to be uploading the chapters, and you can read and give me your feedback. So this can be a collaboration between us, and it can be an exciting way to write a book. So you see, you will see the completion of a new purpose, of a new journey of becoming a YouTuber, of becoming an author from a restaurateur, and see that transformation and take that example and apply it in your lives as well. I pray that this video series is going to be an immense blessing on your life, and I'm going to meet you in the next video, where we are going to talk about the history of Israel and its context in Elijah's life. God bless you.